What's up? Today we're going to be talking about Sofia Coppola's third film in her discography, Marie Antoinette. I'm gonna break some shit. Watch. Watch my stupid ass. Watch my stupid ass break something. Hold on. Oh, fuck. Gang. Somehow I didn't get the mic wet. Astounding. Anyways, now that I've made a mess on my sheet floor and green screen. So, Marie Antoinette. It is Sofia Coppola's third film in her filmography. A lot of her first three films, and a lot of her films in general, deal with the theme of loneliness and isolation, as well as womanhood and that coming of age. And Marie Antoinette is absolutely no exception to this rule. But I think it's the one that often gets looked over, and I think it's the best. So, who is Sofia Coppola? I think that's where we should begin. So Sofia Coppola is daughter of filmmaking royalty. Essentially, she is in essence one with Marie Antoinette, right? She's daughter of Francis Ford Coppola. If you don't know who that is, he directed, these little films, The Godfather. He directed Dracula. He also directed a little film called, Apocalypse Now. Kind of a big deal. Kind of, not the biggest deal, but just a little bit of a big deal. So, Sofia, this is her third film, right off the heels of Lost in Translation, which was a smash indie hit at Cannes. It was a follow-up to her first film, The Virgin Suicide. Marie Antoinette is a really, really interesting film because it's not like a normal biopic. It is not the most truthful in its telling of the story. And it takes a lot of liberty in what it is, but I think because of those liberties, God damn this wig. But because of those liberties, Marie Antoinette came out a much stronger film. The casting choices are really, really interesting too. You got Kirsten Dunst, bro. Kirsten Dunst and her prime. Hot off the heels of Spidey 2. Let's see. You got Bring It On, bro. Like, if you needed a teenage girl in the 2000s or 90s, Dunst was who you called. You called up, you said, Dunst, are you ready to Dunst on them? And she was ready. She went hard in the paint. You had Drop Dead Gorgeous. You had Dick fucking sucks. Don't watch Dick. You have Bring It On. You got Spidey 1, Spidey 2. Kirsten Dunst was the it girl of the 2000s. And to cast her in this role, it was not only, a vision, a choice of the vision, but it was calculated and it was smart. Because I can't really imagine anybody else playing Marie Antoinette. I think what's really interesting is how Coppola manages to humanize Marie Antoinette as a character. Marie Antoinette is arguably one of the most villainized women in all of history. But what's interesting is that the more you dive into her story, you learn that Marie was really a victim of circumstance. And I think that's what Sofia Coppola's film articulates very well. She was essentially a 15-year-old girl who was thrust into the biggest throne on the world stage. Like, look, I couldn't run a country at 15. I know your ass can't either. You think Marie was ready? Nah, she wasn't fucking ready. She wasn't ready. I can't go in, I'm not ready.
Go in, I ain't ready. I can't go in, I ain't ready.
I think that's really, really interesting because it shows Sofia Coppola's power as a filmmaker. And I think that's what people often overlook in this film is how well Sofia was able to humanize one of the most villainized girls in history. And she does that through her stylistic choices. Overall, that style over substance is what makes for a stronger film. So what are these styles? I think Sofia pulled off one of the hardest things to do in all of filmmaking, which is have a jukebox soundtrack. You know, have that playlist soundtrack. A lot of young filmmakers get this wrong, where it's like you can't just throw your iPod in the fucking movie. Like cool, like you like this music, but does this music like your film? Does this music work within the context of your film? What's really cool about the jukebox soundtrack is that it was meticulously curated by the drummer from Air as well as Kevin Shields, and it also features original remixes from Kevin Shields. Who's Kevin Shields? You don't know who Kevin Shields? Oh, God, you're not cool, bro. Come on. Kevin Shields, lead guitarist for My Bloody Valentine. He invented shoegaze. This nigga, Kevin Shields' mind, bro. Kevin Shields' mind. Kevin Shields is the man who's able to make a guitar sound like a fucking vacuum cleaner. Can you make a guitar sound like a vacuum cleaner? I didn't think so. And it's these kinds of choices that Sofia made in the production process that made for a stronger film. You know, she chose to throw in a pair of Converse. You know, the characters don't speak in hoity-toity English. They don't even speak in French. You know, they speak in a slightly stylized form of American English.
Your Majesties, I am at your loyal service.
Dear God, guide us and protect us. We are too young to reign.
And to make a film that is compelling and relatable to contemporary audiences, this is one way to do it, you know? And I think this curation of the soundtrack makes for such a strong film. It's almost a time capsule of, you know, the 2000s captured through this Baroque and Rococo lens, because it doesn't feel like a period film. I think that's what makes it so strong and so rewatchable, because I can go back and watch Amadeus, but I don't get the same feelings and emotions. You know, I get the same emotions from watching Marie Antoinette that I do something like Barry Lyndon, which also had a lot of stylistic choices, but it was still a period drama. And I think you can really feel Sofia in every single bit of the filmmaking process, you know, from the pastel costumes to the jukebox soundtrack to the cinematography, which is drop dead gorgeous. This was Marie Antoinette was really when Sofia Coppola started to come into her own, and you can feel that in the filmmaking. You can feel the influence that films and years of honing her craft have put to this one moment, you know. And it's interesting too, because this film was mixed received, and I think part of it is due to the highly feminine and highly girly aesthetic of the film, feminine touch that this film really has. And it's more so about girls coming of age in a rich environment, Baroque, almost Rococo lens that Marie Antoinette is told through makes for a beautifully powerful and compelling film. I think, you know, moments where, you know, she's getting dressed for the first time and there's just officers in her bedroom, and it's this process, and you see what this young girl went through just to get dressed, you know, King Louis and her, their entire dynamic, you know, Jason Schwartzman and Kirsten Dunst do a fantastic job on screen. But from the moment that you meet Marie, you know that she's just an average girl.
Mops! You can have as many French dogs
as you like.
And I think that, and capturing that and relating it to contemporary girlhood, contemporary womanhood, is what made for such a strong and compelling work. You know, the Converse matter not because what they represented, but how they tie back into contemporary life as an audience. You know, the soundtrack matters because it tied back to contemporary life. And it's a shame that this film only got nominated for an Oscar for Best Costume Design because the Queen is fucking garbage. This should have been there instead of the Queen. It's a film that is so remarkably gorgeous that it's a shame that I don't hear people talk about it more. Also, let's talk about, this film was filmed at fucking Versailles.
That's where it all happens. It's a clock, so I always know what time it is. Security, Kevlar vest. So as you can see, it's just a pretty simple bed. You know.
Was filmed at fucking Versailles, like the actual Versailles. These aren't sets. These aren't sets. These aren't set pieces. They went to fucking Versailles. They got permission to film there, and it makes for such a strong film. But what makes Sofia Coppola's Marie Antoinette, and that's what I call it. I always call it Sofia Coppola's Marie Antoinette because it is her film. Because you can feel Sofia in every ounce of this film. You can really feel how Sofia relates to Marie Antoinette because they are in similar situations where they have to take on this throne. They have a lot of power and responsibility entrusted upon them. And I really can't see anybody else making a film that's as beautiful or as compelling about somebody like Marie Antoinette, if not Marie Antoinette, other than Sofia Coppola. And her prowess, her skills, and her expertise shine through because Sofia Coppola herself is filmmaking royalty. And I think that relatability and that ability to see the character through all the bullshit, through all the history, the villainization, and truly humanize and empathize with a character who was, again, a little bit too young for the throne is a skill in and of itself. And to turn it into something that is not a traditional biopic, but turn it into something uniquely her own is a skill that I think filmmakers can only dream of, genuinely. And I think this film is a fucking masterpiece in every way, shape, or form. And if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend you watch it. It's beyond underrated. It's a beautiful, gorgeous film from start to finish, and I simply can't recommend it enough. So thank you for your time. I greatly appreciate it, for letting me ramble and make a mess in my room with champagne and a wig to talk about something very near and dear to my heart. If you liked it, I recommend you hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. You don't have to do time out of your day to spend time with me. I greatly appreciate it, and have a nice one.